Happy Telling Tuesday! I'm home! Florida was dreamy and fabulous, and I can't wait to go back sometime. But it's always nice to be home. And I'm excited about today's story because the fable it's inspired by, I've been thinking about it for months. Excited about what it was going to inspire, and well, when it all came together in this brain of mine, it was pretty exciting. And I'm going to break tradition and actually tell you the fable today. It's called The Collier and the Fuller. What are they, you might ask? Well, a collier, my son's name is actually Collier, and his name, Collier, means coal miner. So Collier the coal miner, and the fuller, well, a fuller is someone who takes wool cloth, whitens, bleaches it, and thickens it for making clothing. So the Collier had a very large home and invited the fuller, "Why don't you come and live with me? Well, then we can share the space and share the rent, and I'll have some company." And the fuller took one look at the Collier in his coal dust and said, "I could never! My cloth that I spend so much time whitening would soon be dirty." And I think the fuller's right. I imagine that it would be hard to keep the coal dust off of the beautiful white cloth. That is the fable that inspires this story. You see how you think it fits together. When John, my husband, and I had finished university, and before he started his real first grown-up job, we took a little break and spent a month or so living with John's parents. Now, you can imagine, I was still relatively newlywed, and going and living with your in-laws, it can be a bit of an overwhelming thing, even with the world's best in-laws. Well, John and I, we went to stay there, and my sister-in-law, Kalyn, lives there also. And Kalyn is one who brightens any room that she walks into, and she makes the people around her feel loved and special. So when I was staying there, I loved the people, but you still just feel a little awkward sometimes. And Kalyn was always the first to put her arm around me and tell me that she loved me. And Kalyn has this contagious laugh. I'm not going to try to imitate it because then you would be laughing at me and it wouldn't sound right anyways. But Kalyn's laugh is boisterous and contagious and loud, and she uses it often because she's really good at finding the bright side and the funny side of life. And when I tell a story and Kalyn is in the room, she laughs at all the right places. And some unexpected ones as well. And when we were staying with Kalyn, when we were staying with John's parents, when John and Kalyn would sit down at the dinner table together, it would be like we had all traveled back in time. And he was 10 years old, and she was 13 or 14 years old, and he was teasing her, and she was throwing it right back at him. It was pretty delightful to watch. But sitting at the Robison dinner table can be a little bit much. It's a family of nurses. And when the conversation turned to enemas and colonoscopies, Kalyn would be the first one to say, Holly might not want to hear about this. And I was always so grateful. One thing that Kalyn did was she let me sew some dresses for her while I was staying there. And I loved the process of working together, but it really helped me feel needed in the family. And as the time grew closer for us to move on to our next adventure, I just realized how much I was gonna miss Kalyn. She was always up for a game, and she loved my favorite kind of game, word games like Boggle and Scattergories, and she didn't care if she won quite as much as John cares if he wins. We loved playing games. But the time came that we did head off on our next adventure. We took our little Corolla and our 10-month-old daughter and headed off to New Jersey. But I realized that I had a lot of love and joy in my heart. And I accredit a lot of that to Kalyn. You see, Kalyn, I think she is a joy and love miner. And I was so grateful for all that joy dust that rubbed off on me. Just like everyone who gets to spend any time with Kalyn feels. I hope that that story inspires you to think about someone who you appreciate how they have rubbed off on you. I hope you'll take time to let them know how much you appreciate them. It will make a difference for them and for you. I hope you have a great Easter week, and it can be uplifting, and that you yourself can rub off on somebody in a good way. I'll see you next week. Like, share, subscribe, make somebody happy with a story.